breaths of human life. The room looked like a bloodbath, as if it had been showered with a hose of my mother's blood. I could see Noah standing over her while holding a butcher knife. "Noah! What the hell are you doing? Leave her alone or I'm calling the cops!" "Relax, Luke. It's just science class." "No, don't do it!" I was raised in foster care from quite an early age. A cleaning guy found me in a dumpster when I was just 6 months old. But I'm not here to tell you my sob story, because I have an even scarier story to tell. This story is about a woman whom I met when I was 10 years old. After staying with an NGO, I was shifted to a foster home in Oklahoma. Moving to a small town didn't bother me much. I was a shy kid, so I always tried not to cause any problems. My house mother, Mrs. Paulson, was an affectionate lady. Apart from me, she had 2 more kids, Sarah and Mike, and a 16-year-old girl named Amber. Sarah and Mike were some years older than me. Amber, on the other hand, was on her way to turn 18. She often ignored Mrs. Paulson and never listened to her. But she was nice to me. Maybe she could relate to me. Her mother left her at the doorstep of a church when she was just 2 days old, so yeah, we foster kids had unique sob stories to tell. Amber had her own room, whereas we 3 kids slept in a big room with bunk beds. One night, we were awake past bedtime when we heard a jingle outside. I was about to ask Mike what it was when Sarah said,
"It's her again."
They jumped from their beds and ran to the window. I followed them out of curiosity. The roads were completely empty. The sounds of crickets chirping echoed in the entire neighborhood. For a moment, I couldn't see anything except the gloomy streetlights. But soon, the jingle took place again, and a woman appeared amidst the shadows of the street. She was riding in an ice cream cart. The bell attached to the cart swung in the air, creating a soft jingle. "Who is that?"
No one knows her real name. We call her the Tooth Fairy.
"Why is she selling ice cream at this hour?" "There's no ice cream inside her cart. She's a crazy old lady." The woman stopped all of a sudden and looked right at our window. We immediately closed the curtains and moved away, gasping in fear. In that one flash, I saw her face, and the creepy grin, too. "Do you think she saw us?" Sarah sat on her bed and said,
"Maybe."
That was the first time I felt fear. I said in a low voice, "Why do you guys call her Tooth Fairy?"
I don't think that's a good bedtime story.
"No, tell me. I want to know." It was an early winter morning. Our neighbor, Mr. Smith, was going to his farm when he saw someone sitting in the middle of the road amidst the fog. At first, he thought it was a dog, but as he got closer, he found this crazy woman pulling teeth out of a dead cat. She collects teeth from roadkill. People say she's out of her mind, but I know she does something sinister with those teeth. She lives in an old house on the outskirts. No one ever goes there. Sarah was right. It was the worst bedtime story I've ever heard. I woke up late due to lack of sleep. Mrs. Paulson came to my room to see if I was feeling sick. Sarah told her about last night and she got angry with us. She scolded us for staying up late. Time went by and I forgot about the crazy woman. We saw her 2 to 3 times a week, roaming in the empty streets, riding her ice cream cart. One night I woke up feeling thirsty. The jug in our room was already empty, so I walked to the kitchen downstairs. I poured water in a glass and was just about to take a sip when I heard the familiar jingle passing by. I ran to the window and peeked behind the curtains. It was the Tooth Fairy, but this time I noticed something else. She stopped her cart and grabbed something from within it. It was like a small basket. She walked to the house across the street. And placed the basket on the porch and went on her way in the same mysterious manner. I don't know where I got all this courage, but I slowly opened the door and walked to the house. I wanted to see what was inside. It was a small basket made with hay. It was covered with a dirty piece of cloth. As I lifted it, I found blood-soaked teeth placed upon some dried plants. Due to the shock I felt, I didn't tell anyone about this because I knew no one would believe me. The next morning, when I went to check out that same porch, I found nothing. The basket was gone. I don't know who took it, but I was sure no one saw that basket except me. Weeks went by and nothing happened. A new family came and adopted Sarah. We got sad as she was leaving us, but at the same time we felt happy that she found a home. I got upset thinking Amber and Mike will also get adopted someday, but I didn't want to leave. I liked where I was. It was around 2 a.m. Heavy rain fell outside. A huge bolt of lightning flashed and I heard the jingle of the Tooth Fairy's cart. I peeked from the room window and what I saw scared the hell out of me. She was standing in front of our house with the same basket in her hands. Mike! Mike! She's here! She's leaving the basket in our house! Wake up! What? What basket? I woke him up and told him everything I knew. We both tiptoed downstairs. By the time we reached the main door, the Tooth Fairy was gone. Mike slowly opened the door, but there was nothing. The basket wasn't there.
What are you two doing down here so late?
We almost screamed as Amber's voice startled us. Amber was standing near the stairs. She scolded us and we went back to our room. From the next day, things took a different turn. Amber suddenly got sick. She couldn't eat anything. Anything she ate, she would vomit it right out. I don't know why, but I felt like there was a connection between the Tooth Fairy's basket and Amber's health rapidly deteriorating. The next day, Mrs. Paulson went out of town. Amber was still sick, so Mike and I had to look after her and each other. We were in our room when we heard the main door creak open. We came downstairs and realized Amber was gone. On her bed lied a basket with a blood-soaked tooth and some dried plants. Oh my God, what are these? I told you, the Tooth Fairy left it on our porch last night. But why did Amber bring it inside? This is black magic, you idiot. I knew the Tooth Fairy was up to something sinister. We have to find Amber. Let's go. We rushed to the streets. Mike took Amber's phone in case we had to call for help. We caught up with Amber after 10 minutes. She was walking barefoot in the empty streets. Her walk wasn't normal, as if she was sleepwalking. Her head was down and she was moving like a robot. Within 5 minutes, we reached in front of a wooden house. I've never seen such a scary house in my entire life. It was black as if it had been burnt down. Saplings were growing all over the walls and the porch light was flickering like crazy. Amber stopped at the house porch and the door opened on its own. She went inside like she was hypnotized to do so. We ran to the nearest window to look inside. What we saw made our stomachs drop. It was a room filled with candles. Weird symbols were drawn on the walls with blood. And in the middle of the room stood a wooden table upon which Amber lied down. The Tooth Fairy was sitting near her feet and chanting an unknown language. She then opened her eyes and inserted her hand between Amber's legs. A sound of flesh tearing took place, and she pulled out a bloody blob from her insides. It was terrifying to see Amber lying awake on that table with no reaction whatsoever.
She's killing her. We need to call the cops.
I whispered in fear, just when the Tooth Fairy got up and left the room with the bloody blob in her hand. We finally got an opportunity. Mike dialed 911 and told them to hurry up. Meanwhile, I sneaked inside the house and entered the room. I slowly walked to the table and called out to Amber. She woke up from her trance and looked around in fear. She had no idea how she got there in the first place. We were about to get out when the room door burst wide open.
Where do you think you're going?
The Tooth Fairy was standing near the door, blocking our way out. I have no words to explain how demonic she looked. She licked the blood off her hand while staring at us with her hungry eyes.
I will slice you open and let you bleed out.
She then ran at full speed, stretching her arms towards me, and I screamed in fear. But suddenly, Amber grabbed a candle and threw it at her, the Tooth Fairy's clothes catching on fire. She gasped out while trying to put it out, only for her outfit to be engulfed in flames. By this point, the police arrived and we ran out of the house, leaving the rest up to them. The cops put out the flame and arrested her, finally unfolding the story. This woman practiced witchcraft and kept an eye on every young girl of this town. Whenever a girl secretly became pregnant, she walked up to her house and placed a basket bound with dark spells. Once she got the girl under her spell, she performed her sick ritual on them. She would rip out the unborn fetus and use it for her rituals. Amber got pregnant with her high school boyfriend, and that's why she fell ill all of a sudden. The cops found 10 to 15 glass jars in her basement, filled with these unborn fetuses she collected so far. The town shook in fear, knowing this crazy woman went on performing illegal abortions right under everyone's eyes, and no one could guess a thing. Mike and I stayed with Mrs. Paulson till we moved out. Everyone in town praised us for our bravery. I feel lucky that we reached in time and stopped this heinous act and that crazy woman. It's been a while since I visited the town, but whenever I hear bells, this horrible memory lashes back at me.